Welcome to Swashbuckling with Code. I am Jimmy Cleveland, and today we're going to take a little tour of one of my favorite productivity apps, Notion. So Notion is a little bit difficult for me to describe exactly what it does. It's a note-taking app, but it does so much more than that. It's used as like a general collaboration tool, kind of an all-in-one place for your onboarding, your wikis, task management, tracking, like Kanban boards, all sorts of stuff like that. It's just a really powerful tool. And the way that they've done it and designed it is just very intuitive, easy to use, low barrier to entry, and really quick just to kind of jot ideas down and then build them up into more like sophisticated, organized documents. And I really love that about it. So I've been using it for quite some time now, and it's not quite as popular as I really feel like it should be. I've seen it grow in popularity recently, and some people talking about it a little bit more. But usually when I show it to people, they've either never heard of it or maybe kind of heard it but hadn't looked at it. So I thought that I would just give you a little tour of what it's like and some of the basic functionality of it and how I use it. So as you can see, here we are. We're on the Notion homepage. It's notion.so. For some reason, I always think it's notion.io, but that is not correct. And, I haven't seen this page in quite some time since I just have the app installed. I just want to take a quick browse at it. It looks pretty nice, and it looks like they show some of the functionality of it. So, you might want to take a look at that. Oh, Duolingo uses this, huh? Cool. And, well, yeah. Neat. It's a long page. All their tweets from people just loving it. Yeah. So let's go back to the top, and I'll log in here and show you kind of a new account. And let's jump right over to that. So after you log in, this is the dashboard that you're going to see. I'm using the web client, but they do have a app. Windows, OS X, and I would imagine Linux, but I'm not positive about that. So they'll start you off with some, different pages to kind of show you what to do or how you can use it. But I don't think they're the greatest intro, personally. I looked through them, and they're just kind of like, okay. So I'm just going to show you probably starting with just creating a new page. I think that's the best place to start. So I want to make a new page here, and pages are pretty much, it's like your top level note, but they can be nested. So you'll start off with this blank page, and you can put whatever title you want here. So our page, you can put whatever you want here, of course, and then as soon as you press enter, all of that information is going to go away. You get this nice clean look. So they tell you type / for commands. This is what I use most of the time. So you can type / and you can get a whole slew of commands, but it also accepts markdown. So let's start with that. So if you do pound space, you'll get a heading 1, that nice placeholder telling you that's what you've got. And I will just type some heading, and I want to show something right here. So if I were to do pound and heading a second time, this is something that is a small deal, but there's a bunch of these that all add up to a great user experience. So if I come to the beginning of this and I type pound space, it will just auto convert it. And that's really cool. This was really sweet to me because Notion's one of the few tools that I've ever used where it is very intuitive. It's a rare experience for me that, I'm using a tool and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I just did this and it worked? And it does quite often in this tool. The people making it just are really in tune with a good user experience for very simple, quick note taking. And it does a lot more than that. We're going to get into that. But let's just start, with these basics for now. So typing regularly, you get a paragraph. You can do all the markdown stuff like star or dash to do a list. If you type first item and then you press enter, you're going to get your next list, etc., etc., etc. You can press tab to indent it, another indent, etc. That's a lot of etceteras. And then you can move these blocks around with this little series of 6 dots. You drag that, and you can move like this whole item because it has nested items wherever you like. And what's really cool about that is, like, let's say we've got this item, and I want to nest that here. You can see how it's got that like semi-transparent blue underline and then the blue underline. That will tell you that you're nesting it there. So if you want to put it here, yeah, you get the gist. Put it here, put it wherever you like. That's really cool. And it's a nice way to just move things around. And from there, you can take, you can click it, which, it says drag to move or click to open menu. If you click it, it'll bring up a nice little quick menu that lets you do all sorts of things. So we can duplicate it, for example. It's really easy. We can delete it. And we can also turn it into something. This is one of the coolest functionalities that I like about it a lot, is how I showed you could do the pound to convert it. There's a bunch of different ways to do that, but this is a really nice one if you just don't really know what your options are. You can come to here and say, okay, well, I want this to be a code block, let's say. And here you go. It's opened you up a code block. This time it's JavaScript. So it will actually have syntax highlighting. So if you were to say const moo equals cow, there you go. You've got that. It's lovely. It's got a bunch of language support. It even has GraphQL, which a lot of the WYSIWYG type of things that I've used that have code blocks with Markdown don't have that yet. So they stay pretty up to date. You got Rust, PHP, Ruby, all your favorites. Go. It's really cool. Really, really nice. I like that. And let's say we were to take this code block here and we wanted to turn it into something else. We could turn it into this call out. And this is kind of an interesting thing. It gives you a little icon. So let's say you had something really important to put here. Then you have like documentation you're writing, because you can use this thing as like a wiki. It's a collaboration tool. You can use it for yourself. You can use it for a group of people. I use it at my current work with some of my team, and we really love it. But you can do stuff like this, just little call out notes, give it your own icon. It's really nice. So that's the idea of turning things into other things. There's a whole slew of them. And let me show you a few more of the things before I get into that menu. So you can do a quote. This one's kind of weird because arrow usually gives you a quote, but this one actually gives you a toggle. So woof, you do that, and then you can put whatever you like here. And this is just nice if you want to be able to hide something, right? But if you want to do a quote, you got to do a slash quote. No big deal. There's probably another shortcut, and then this will just give you some sort of quote situation, some quote situation. And while I'm in a quote, it's probably a good time to talk about the text editing. So what is this type of menu called? I don't actually know. But when you double click the text, it will come up with a familiar, WYSIWYG type of thing. And you can bold, underline, all the good stuff. This is a really neat feature. You can comment. And so when you go to add a comment, it's like adding a discussion for other people that are in the same thing. So you could say, let's take a look at this, and then you can add someone in the comment. So I'm the only one here. So I could add myself, or I could actually put a date and say, this is maybe when we want to take care of it, or when we did it, or whatever. And then it'll show up here on the side, and people can continue to add on to this as much as they like. And then if someone marks it resolved, it will go away. And if you mark all of them resolved, the whole comment will go away. So it's really nice, just a quick way to address some situations. There's only a couple more things to show here. There's some crazy equation stuff that I never mess with. I'm not a math guru, sorry, but that's pretty cool. There's you can change the colors to just a bunch of pre-selected ones. Nothing fancy, but it can be nice. It's just some highlighting, stuff like that. You get the gist. And you can at someone. That's similar to the comment thing. You can just put someone's name here. Say we want to at me on this line. And then I'll get it in my notifications or whatever if I have feed turned on. And then finally, there's this little ... menu, which just gives you all of that other menu if you click this thing right here. But this one is for this whole quote, and then this one might be for this text block. So that's the gist of how to do that. Turning into a page is kind of an interesting idea. I don't ever really use this, but I'm kind of curious now that I'm here. Add as a sub page. Add to page getting started. So I'll add it as a sub page. And I'm guessing it's going to do the just /page command. Can I link that? Yeah, okay. So how this works, that's kind of cool. And then you can give it an icon or something like that. So if you type /page, this is a really nice feature of it. It will open up a new page. And we'll talk about templates in just a moment, but let's say nested page here, you press enter and you start typing your gobbledygook here. And if you go to this R page, you can drill down this little menu, and you'll notice that there is this like nested page here that came from our page. So we made this one and we made this one. And you can also see it in the breadcrumbs up here. So that's kind of how you navigate between them. And it's really snappy. It's nice. You can just jump around that way. So that's a quick way to make pages. You can make it in the sidebar here, or you can just make it on the fly. And I love that functionality about it. It's really, really nice. Let's see, are there any other commands that we should talk about here? We should probably talk about embeds and such. So let's say that I want to go to Wikipedia, and I will grab let's go to English, grab a random article here just so you can kind of see. I don't know what this is. Let's see what this is. Chinese ultralight trike. Very interesting. Okay. Copy that, and we'll drop that here. When you paste this, you'll get this nice little pop-up that asks if you want to embed it or bookmark it. It depends on the kind of link it is. In this situation, I'm pretty sure Wikipedia link is going to be the same for either. And I believe it uses Open Graph to pull any information in. Let's see if we can get something that has some images here. That looks kind of interesting. Let's see what happens here. Create a bookmark. And that one's kind of crappy. Let's do like bridge. There we go. I don't know why I thought of that. Random thought in my brain. So yeah, it'll do this preview, and you can see it as this nice little image in here. So you got your bridge now, and you can move it around. You know, they're all blocks. That's the nature of it. And like I said, I think this uses Open Graph to pull in this stuff, but I don't really know for sure, to be honest. That's the gist of that. And you can also move these. You can move any block to the side here, and it will auto create a column. And you know, if there's too much information there, it will condense it. It's pretty neat that you can do that. And then let's say we could get into images, but let me do this first. So what else is there in here that we want to talk about? So there's to-do lists, and the to-do list, you know, it's nothing fancy except it's an actual to-do. So, you know, do the laundry. And then when you check it off, it actually stays checked off and all that stuff. So it's kind of stateful, and that's cool. Nice little feature. So it's just kind of taking Markdown and, you know, making it a little more interactive. And see, bulleted lists, numbered lists, toggled lists. We went over all those, the quotes, the call out. Yeah, I think we're good on that. I don't really use these too much. There's an inline equation, which that seems interesting, more math stuff. Probably got some pretty cool stuff in here. There's tables, which I'm going to show you with a real example. Media, yeah, it's probably a good time to do images, I would say. But then you can also see you can embed like tweets and Google Docs, and man, just so many things. It's really, really cool. So let's go grab an image real quick. Let's say I want to look up landscapes. Actually, let's go to Unsplash. And can I find just, I want like a wider picture. Okay, I decided just to grab some ocean waves. That's nice. So I actually want the link here. Is it share? I wonder if that will download it. Let's go back to our page. Put this link in here. Okay, so that's a bookmark or an embed. So we could try an embed here and see what happens, but I don't think that's what we want. Okay, that works fine, but we want the actual photo. So I'm just going to I'm going to copy the image address and do that instead. There we go, embed image. Cool. So that way it will actually upload it to their servers, and it will keep a link to the original, which is pretty cool. So that's how you can drop in an image. And while we're doing that, let me show you that you can add it as cover art. So let's say we brought it up to the top here and we kind of wanted it to take full screen. Now there's a whole nother menu here that I should show that you can do full width. We'll come back to the rest of the options in this menu. So you can kind of get there with this, but what you're actually going to want is to add a cover. So with covers, it's pretty cool. You can change them between a bunch of different types. They have some pre-built images that are kind of nice. They got some like different art styles and all sorts of stuff. And then if you do, oh, there is a whole Unsplash thing. That's pretty cool. Well, let's do our link first. And we'll submit that link. Let's see if that works. There we go. That took a while. So there's that. And then we could change this cover as well. Let's use this unsplash. And I don't know how I never even saw that. There's some sort of cupcake thing here. We can do a search. We can do like ocean. And let's just click a couple of these. There we go. That's kind of cool. So yeah, we've got a sort of theme going. You can do an icon here, which I don't do that often. Let's see if there's like a wave. Yeah, like an ocean wave here. And this is usually just kind of for a little bit of style, but it can be useful. So let's say like you have you've got like some documentation or something like that, and you're like, okay, well, let's just do some sort of like bookmark or something like that. This will actually show up in your off screen here, which is kind of cool. It will be the icon of the page, and so if it's recognizable enough, this could be a nice thing. But most of the time, it's not really that useful to me. So just so that you can do it. You can add comments here, which basically starts a thread at the top of this whole thing. So, it's just kind of like a let's discuss type of thing. And these are just kind of global. I also don't use this that often. I usually put comments like right on the thing, but it's there. There's so many features. There's lots of features, and I don't use them all, to be honest. So let's go back to this top menu here. This is kind of cool. What you can do is, let me go somewhere where there's a little more text. You can change the font style to be serif instead of a sans serif, or a mono if you're doing kind of more like a code documentation thing or something like that. I like serif, but take your pick. You can also make the text a little bit smaller if you want to fit some stuff. It only has these two sizes, like obviously all the headings have their own size, but it's just scaling them all down. Full width, which is very useful in some situations. The page lock, I don't really use that too often, just to stop edits. And then, yeah, you've got some typical, favorites, page history, deleted. The last item here that's really interesting to me is this export. So I do use this sometimes, where you can actually export to Markdown, which is super useful. Sometimes I'll write like blog posts in here, and then I'll just export it. And if it has images and stuff, it'll make links to the originals. It'll actually make the link tag for you and everything. So that's really nice. You can also do a PDF, and that's the gist of that. It'll just put out a zip file. So that's pretty much this menu in a nutshell. You can play around with that as well. You can share this page. You can make it like public if you want people to be able to see it, which is cool. It's already hosted. It's really nice. You can also invite people to collaborate. So if you have your own space, you can share certain topics with certain people, or you could have one big group space. You do have to pay if you use over so many blocks if you have a group of people, which is pretty standard. I actually pay for my account because I use this for everything, but for the longest time I used it for free and got along just fine. They give you quite a few free blocks to get a really good feel for it and see if you like it enough, and it doesn't cost that much. So let me make a quick correction here. So I was looking it up, and it seems like they have unlimited blocks for the free accounts now. It's not just a certain amount, like I said. So that seems really cool. It's even better. So just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, then you can copy the link if you want to link it, and that's pretty much it. You can follow the page for updates. I don't usually do this either, but it's kind of cool that it's there. So I think that's a pretty good intro to all of the basics of building a page. The next thing I want to show real quick is when you do make a new page, you can actually pick a template. So you can do these different various options. There's a whole like table for database and calendar, and there's lots of cool things we're going to get to. But the templates is really interesting because this is a good way to see some of the different types of styles that they have available. And the interesting thing about Notion is that you don't have to like start with a template to get that functionality. You can build it as you go and just insert pieces. It's got this really cool like modular component idea to it, where everything is a composition of building blocks that you build up to the end goal. And what's really powerful about that is that it allows you a ton of flexibility, but it scales really well. This is my favorite thing about this tool, is that it's very fast for me to jot down a note. There's no barrier to entry. Like I use Jira at my work, and Jira is great for having just tons of tracking functionality and all that stuff. But I know there are a lot of developers like myself that are very irritated with kind of the bloat and the barrier to writing down notes quickly, especially when, you know, people have set it up in such a way that it can take a while to add a to-do, just, you know, to track something in it. You're in the middle of development and you really only have a limited amount of brain power, let's say, to write that idea down, or whatever you're doing. You know, it doesn't have to be development. So I really like that about Notion, is that it's just so just speedy to just jump right in, take a note down, and then if you want to embellish on that or build that up, you can really easily. And it also makes it intuitive to build up your pages, because you know all the building blocks as you get used to it, and so you can kind of just, you know, keep expanding on that. I think I've said enough about that. But so here's some different examples that you could start off with. So we could just say, hey, I want to start off with a blog post template, and it's just got a nice like columned layout to show you some text. Yeah, to-do list, kind of tracker, all sorts of stuff. They have a Kanban one here. Can't remember where it is. It's somewhere here. Ah, here's kind of one. Oh, this is Monday through Friday though. Well, yeah, that's kind of the gist of that. But they do have a nice little Kanban one. So you can just pick one, use a template, and there you go. You've got a nice little thing to start with. But let me actually show you a really cool template. And if you're ever looking for ideas, what you can do is you can search up Notion gallery, I think. Create a gallery, template gallery. This might be it. Yeah, this looks like it. Okay. So they have this Notion template gallery on Notion. And this has all sorts of things, from ones they've put together and curated, but it also has community submitted ones. And I think they have a paid one too, where, you know, people make professional ones and you can pay for it. I don't see it here. But one of the ones I really like is Recipe Box. I think it's this one. There's a few good ones. This is a really cool example of how custom and fancy this can get with some of the features. So I like to use this to showcase some of the functionality. You know, excellent work, Kylie. If that's how I say your name. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. But what you can do is go to this example, and it's publicly hosted, and here it all is. Now, I can't edit this because it's a public one, but I can take a look at how it all works, right? And that's really neat. But you can just click this duplicate button. I lied to you. I can actually edit it, but I have to send it to my own. And what it's going to do is duplicate it to my Notion, and now I have that. That is a really nice feature. So now I can just play around with it and do what I want because it's mine. So I have this recipe box. We'll change this to Big Woofer Box because I said so. And I want to show just some of the really awesome like data structures that they have in here and all the things you can do. So first you can see you have these columns and they have completely different types. You've got names, which are links. You've got tags, and you can see it's got a little icon and what it is, which you can just, you know, slap in whatever your custom tags are. A link here, because it's got a little icon to click to go off to it, and a Boolean little checkbox here, and that's really nice. So every one of these is its own page. This is that kind of component idea. You click it, you open it up, but you can also do this and just go to the actual page and see it that way. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You just hit back and you're back where you were. It's got really good state tracking. So these tags, you can click in here, and this person's built all of these tags out. You can just type a new one, like we already had woofers, right? So you can create woofer. There you go. And you've got that. You can add any ones that you want, and that will come in when it comes to filtering, but it's also for visual candy. You've got your link, you've got the Boolean tried or not tried, and the created on. Now, if you add a property, that's for this whole table, so all of the items will share that property, so you're not just adding it for this. This is a collection of items, just so you know. And, you know, here's this crazy recipe. Goodness, what is this, 100? Oh, it's 101 things. I thought it was 101 steps. Okay, simple 10-minute meals. That makes sense. So that's, each one is a page. You can see that they can take on their own, you know, cover background, this little apple icon to give it a little bit of flavor. Yeah, that's cute. And checklist, instructions. Yeah, really neat. Now, the coolest thing about the way that they do the table data, in my opinion, is that you can click and have different views. So you can say, okay, I want to view by category. And check this out. So it's taken all the images. Let's see if we open this one, if it'll show it. So this is the cover image, and they've set it up. It's a custom setting that you can change it how you like. You can either show the first content that shows up at the top of this thing or the cover image. And now you have this nice little board if you want to visually see everything. And it has very nice like search functionality. So if I'm in the mood for cheese here, you can, sort by all of the cheese dishes. No one has as many friends and all that. So then, let's take a look at this view real quick. So before we jump off to the other ones, you can see that there is also like tags are shown in this format, and you can change that by going to properties and clicking on and off. So like, I don't want to show the name, I want a more condensed view. You can just click that on. It's just showing you all of the properties for that one. If you want the created on date, if you want a little check mark to say, hey, have we tried it or not? That's really, really neat. Yeah, I really like that. This is your card size. So if you want to make them a little bit smaller, you want to make them a little bit larger, it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. The fit image is kind of interesting, just like constraints and all that stuff. It's a nutty there. And then this is how you pick your preview. So you can do the content, which see it'll show like the cooking information. That's the first one. So if there's an image there, it will show up. Or you can do the cover, which is a little more ideal here. You can group things by tags, obviously. The filter here is really nice. So we can add a filter, and I don't know about filter group, but the filter itself, these are really cool because they're dependent on the type of value that they are. So for name, you can say, does the name contain cheese, for example? Does not. Don't we have a shorter one than that? Salad. That's interesting. Should work. What did I do wrong? Name is. Let's try this first. So let's say we want this name right here. So I'll grab this name just to show it. This is going to be dumb, but the name is exactly this. Okay, well there you go. And you can see there's duplicates here. You got to scroll horizontally if it gets crazy, which isn't the most ideal solution, but I don't know how else you would tackle this, honestly. It's okay with it if you've got a trackpad, but so because this thing shares two different categories, easy and salad, it shows up in two places since we're sorting by category, in case that was confusing. So we should also be able to take just the word salad and say contains. There we go. I don't know why that wasn't working earlier. So if it contains, is it case sensitive here? Looks like it is. So that kind of sucks. I wonder if you can do, I bet you can do regular expression, but I'm not sure how. Never tried that actually. Usually, like I said, this app is pretty intuitive with all that type of functionality, but this is one of those situations where I don't actually know how that works. So that's name. It gives you a bunch of like string matches. You can also do like, let's say, what's tried do? So it's just a Boolean, so you can just say tried or not tried, right? I want to filter by everything that has been one or the other. Yeah, really cool. So let's remove that. And you can sort. That's usually more useful for the table format. So I think that shows enough of that. And then if you want to add, you just click new here and you can just create a new one. And so I can name this my new meal, and then you click it and it's got, all of the attributes for you to fill out, and then you can just put whatever you want. You get this blank slate that's got the format that you want. So yeah, I think that showcases that pretty well. Let's see, haven't tried. So you can make your own cut. So you have this view by category, and that's a special view type. So if you add a view, you can see you can pick a table, a board, a calendar. That's kind of cool. It's got a whole calendar. List, and a gallery. So you can create that type, and then within that type, then you can set up your custom filters. Let's say like I want a table, but I want things that I have not tried. And there you go. You've got it. It's even got like column aggregation. You can see the count right here. You can tell it to like calculate based off of different values. It depends on what it is. Yeah, it's crazy. What's this do? 16, earliest date. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so much stuff. Wow. Yeah, and then favorites. Pretty neat stuff. I think that shows off tables pretty well, the functionality of it. I'll just give you kind of a real life example. So at my work, we had this interesting idea to try it out with like a bug board, and it was pretty cool because you could put tags for like what type of, if it was like critical, or if it was for a particular website that we were maintaining, or one of our code bases or something like that. We have all these different tags for that, and that's really nice. You have all sorts of custom fields like point of contact and all that stuff, pretty much like Jira, but you can get it in this nice visual card format. This is what I loved about it, is that like I have the tickets, but because I can have images, if we would encourage people to take screenshots if it was something you could visually show, or paste a code block if it was like a server error, and that will show up here as a thumbnail, so you can see like the screenshot of it being a bug. And what's really great about that is that you're not going to know exactly what that bug is when you first see it, but if it's a list that you look at it a bunch, it's really cool to like come back and get that like visual quick recognition so much faster than just looking at a bunch of text tickets with names. You can say, oh yeah, I forgot that, you know, our accordion was bugged and being silly, and you know, there's a picture of it and just reminded me, yeah, I got to go fix that. So that's great. I really love it for that. It's just really flexible. You know, can't say that enough. Let me show you the search functionality. I think that's a cool thing to show. So let's say we added this page. This is another thing I do. I have a errors commonly encountered, or I don't remember what I call it, but I have this page, and then within it, I have some sub pages. And let's say I've got like a Node.js one or something like that. And so in this case, I can just do a single backtick and say, you know, like type error, the thing was undefined, and that will close it. And then you can do it just as like a, you know, typical markdown code block. You can also do triple backticks to quickly get to that other one. Let's see, we'll change this to bash, and we'll say there was a catastrophic error, and you know, some unhelpful node error as you are wont to get. So here's that. And once you've got, you know, a list of things in, actually let me do one more thing. So I usually do something like this. I'll say this is the error I encountered. Why can I not type right now? Because I'm recording. For some reason my brain shuts off. And this is the solution. And then the solution could just be like, you know, when you use XYZ service, don't forget that 200 responses can be errors, and check the error object, because, you know, the world's crazy like that. So let's say you get in this scenario and you just come to your Notion. You know, it's just a general thing that everyone shares. And by the way, you can see people typing at the same time, which is really cool, just like a, you know, Google Doc or something like that. But you go to quick find, and then let's say I were to look up, oh, you know, I got this error, and I swear I've seen this before. We've encountered this before. I've got a vague memory of it. I'm having deja vu. Well, you just come to the search here, and let's say, you know, I just search for type error and give it a second, and there you go. It found it. It told me the page that it's in. I click that, and it'll take me right to that item and highlight it. Isn't that cool? So, you know, if you're ever to type catastrophic or whatever, it'll search within this, each of those pages. Now, I know that's not like a super new novel feature, but it's awesome to have in a tool like this. So we have this, you know, big list of like common errors, and people can come there and check. And every now and then it's extremely huge time saver. And so that's a really nice functionality of it as well. You know, I really could spend just forever talking about this tool and all the crazy things that it allows you to do, but I think that that gives you a pretty good picture of some of the core building blocks and just the intuitive ease of use, in my opinion. It's not just a note-taking tool if you don't want it to be. Now, that's primarily what I use it for, but you can do all sorts of stuff with that. You know, I see some companies doing, you know, cool ticket Kanban stuff or calendar stuff, or what's great for actually is like onboarding, you know, documentation, wiki, where you know write all the stuff for your project and how to train, and you can have all sorts of embedded links and just great. So I encourage you to try it out. You know, give it a whirl and see if you like it. I think it's a fantastic product, and it's one of those, you know, once in a decade tools that has really just made my life a lot more efficient, and I could cut out a lot of those other tools that each of them did something really well, but I wanted to centralize that all into one thing. And this gets me really close there. You know, I still use Asana a little bit for my personal like ticket board stuff, and I think that's a really cool tool. But outside of that, Notion's my primary go-to. So fantastic work for the developers that have been working on it, and I really look forward to all the future cool innovations that they come up with. And hopefully, when you give it a try, you will find just as much enjoyment as I have with it.